Good evening and welcome to The Price of Business. I'm delighted to be with you as always. Glad to have my good friend Walter Rogers here on the show as always. A vital part of this program now for quite some time and continues to be. We're talking about his fascinating new book, and it's amazing because we're talking about something that is traditionally considered mundane, like customers' relationship management. But it really is a fascinating book because what he does is he creates a paradigm shift from looking at this as a pure utility to really using it as the centerpiece, if you will, of one's corporate nervous system. And welcome to the program.
Thanks, Kevin, so much. Really enjoyed being on these shows. And today we're going to talk about the next three best practices, which are the importance of integrating sales and marketing, the importance of managing the forward pipeline, and then the importance of separating the prospecting cycle from the sales cycle, which are three essential ingredients to really leveraging CRM as a corporate nervous system.
Absolutely. And by the way, if you go over there to bakercommunications.com, you'll see a link in order to be able to download this book. Then you can see what the first three principles are. And if we have a few minutes here at the end, I might run through those real quickly just so people can keep up to date. But let's start right away with that integrate sales and marketing. I really love that because these two tend to be territorial, aren't they?
Oh, it's unbelievable. And the sad thing is that more than 75% of leads that are produced by marketing never, ever get a phone call by anybody in sales. And there's just an inherent disconnect between these two functions. And let me talk about that just for a minute. You know, marketing typically focuses on developing a variety of creative campaigns that generate interest in the company's products or services. And these campaigns can take months to prepare and roll out. There's a lot of thought goes into these, and they do generate leads. The problem is that once these leads are generated, it can often take days, weeks, if not months, for them to actually flow from marketing to sales because of disconnected systems. And so consequently, the leads that sales ends up getting from marketing are typically pretty cold.
Yeah.
So when they call them, the prospect even forgot they'd submitted a lead to begin with, because the base principle is you've got to call a lead within 24 hours of its receipt. And so this time delay that is generated really creates a lot of friction between these two organizations. And this is where a properly configured CRM can step in, because it can really help enable a much better communication to share and transfer information between these two functions so that they can both access the same information and the same capabilities in real time, eliminating the breakdowns in information flow.
Yeah.
And basically what this allows a company to do is to get to that 24-hour response time on leads.
Yeah, and this is where you can see something like Salesforce.com Chatter playing a role, where you could easily communicate, hey, we got a new batch of leads that we just sent over to you, or last night we did this. Don't you agree?
Yeah, in fact, Chatter can be the platform for communication between the sales and marketing functions to collaborate on what these plays, campaigns are going to be about, so that everybody is informed and everybody knows when they're going to happen. And then when the leads come in, they can simply be automatically routed directly to that salesperson without anybody having to touch anything, right? So you can literally get a lead over there in, sub-second time, so that sales reps can act on them immediately instead of having to wait through some manual processing.
Great stuff. Managing forward pipeline. That's number 5. Everyone knows the pipeline. You've got those leads that you're putting it through, and at the end, some of them will become clients. So talk about that. How do you manage that?
Yeah, so let's talk about how to manage a forward pipeline. So most sales managers rely on two key tools to monitor sales maker productivity. It's pipeline and forecasting. Now, forecasting is really focused on later stage deals. It's the deals that are likely to close inside of a particular period of time. What forecasting does not do is do much to help you with future quarters, because there are opportunities in the pipeline that are not going to be that far along yet that aren't going to be covered in the forecast calls. That's what we call the forward pipeline. And so you've got to focus on the development of future sales so that the next quarter and the quarter after that are in scrambles, because the sales manager is only focused on the forecasting activity. The problem is that too many managers don't really differentiate between pipeline management and forecast management. And the sales makers need to develop the deals that are further back in the pipeline and not ignore those, so that, again, in future quarters, they have a nice flow of potential business that they can work on. Now, the best way to do that is to start by creating a realistic timeline that defines how long it takes for an opportunity to close. A lot of companies still rely on the old 30, 60, 90-day predictive approach, which is really broken, because until a manager understands the average number of weeks that it takes for an opportunity to flow through all the way to conclusion, whether that's a win or a loss, then it's impossible to reverse engineer whether or not something is likely to close in a 30, 60, or 90-day period other than using what I call the gut approach, which is not really all that accurate. So by reverse engineering it and creating a cadence, the manager can then have a really good understanding of where an opportunity should be at week 9, 10, 12, 15,
going
3,
forward.
Whatever.
Okay, we got about a minute or so left. I want to make sure you cover number 6.
Yeah. So number 6 is the best practice of separating the prospecting cycle from the sales cycle. Now, prospecting really has become a lost art. We know this. Most salespeople hate to prospect, and most companies spend an inordinate amount of time training sales reps on how to sell, but not how to prospect. And unfortunately, with the situation we have around us today, prospecting is just critical. And transitioning a company to a prospecting culture is no simple proposition, and it requires profound change that has to be led by the top, because you will get massive institutional pushback against putting in prospecting muscle memory. And there's really 5 steps. Number 1, you have to aggressively communicate and promote the vision. Number 2, you've got to align training activities with the prospecting vision. Number 3, you've got to measure for prospecting performance, and there are very distinct stages in the prospecting cycle that you've got to measure against. Number 4, you've got to direct and equip sales managers to coach for prospecting performance, and number 5, you've got to reward based on prospecting performance.
Mm-hmm. Very good stuff. Walter Rogers is his name. The book, again, is called Spark. I tell you, it really caught on over there at Dreamforce convention there in San Francisco. I was really impressed with the number of people who were holding it, talking about it, and the buzz that it's creating, and I'm excited to be able to focus on it here on the show. You need to go to bakercommunications.com, look for the link there for Spark, and make sure you get a free copy of the book. Walter, give us a website. Actually, I have that, bakercommunications.com, the phone number for Baker Communications.
713-627-7700. That's 713-627-7700.
And it's clear to see why they are the leaders in sales and customer relation management training. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Look forward to the next show.
You bet. More after this right here on The Price of Business.